welcome to Viola, Beginner Viola Lesson 2. The things that you will need for this lesson will be your new bow exercise paper, which is what you see behind me, the Pease Porridge Hot, which is our brand new song of the week. You should have your Beginner Viola Lesson 2 paper that has the picture of your bow hold and the information on how to find this video. And, of course, the practice log that you'll fill out. Oh, and hot cross buns. So, also, make sure that when you get your viola out, you have your arrow pointing to the button on the bottom. You'll need to get your bow out. And also, in your case, you'll find a cake of rosin. You'll need to get that out as well. Speaking of the bow, that's what we're going to get ready first. When it is in your case, I hope that when you get it out, the hair is nice and loose and able to wiggle like hair. And when we go to play it, that's not going to work. So what we're going to have to do is take the bottom and turn it righty-tighty, righty-tighty. And as you do that, it's going to pull the frog away from the tip, causing the hair to get tighter. And we're going to go until your pinky fits through without touching at the middle. Your pinky pretty much will never touch through on either end, but in the middle, that's where we want it to be. You also don't want your pinky to be touching, so if it is, if you are having to shove your pinky through, then you're going to need to make sure that it's tighter. Don't keep touching the hair, because that'll make it so that the hair doesn't work any longer. After you have that done, you're going to take your rosin, and you're going to swipe about 5 to 10 times up and down. And then you will be ready to go. I rosined mine earlier, so I think I'm okay. I'm not going to do the full 5 to 10 right now. Then you can go ahead and set your bow off to the side. So we're going to come back and use that a little while later. All right, let's get our violas. And we're going to go to the edge of our chair. We're going to sit with our feet flat on the floor. And we're going to put our viola on our left knee. This is going to look backwards for you, but I have it on my left knee. I'm holding it on the left side of the viola, my left side of the viola, and I'm going to take it and put it up on my left shoulder. Then the very first thing I'm going to do is check to make sure I'm able to hold this viola without any hands. So very carefully let go, make sure you can hold it. The thing that should be holding your viola is the left side of your jaw right here on the chin rest. So we'll try that again, make sure you're holding it without any hands. All right, so that means that you shouldn't be holding it with your hand. You should be at all times holding it with your jaw. And with the other hand, you're going to wave to me. Take your thumb, plant it on the end of the fingerboard right here on the black piece of wood on the corner, so that's where your thumb goes. And we're going to reach all the way across to the biggest, thickest string, and that is called, well, the name we gave it is cool. And then we have gorillas, dance, around. So cool is the one furthest from your thumb, and around is the one closest to your thumb. So furthest is cool. What we're going to do is we're going to pluck the cool string 3 times and say cool each time. 1, 2, ready, go. Cool, cool, cool. Gorillas, gorillas, gorillas. Dance, dance, dance. Around, around, around. Now this time, let's just say the first letter of each string. So instead of cool, we'll say C. Gorillas, we'll say G. Dance, we'll say D. And around, we'll say A. So we'll do it 3 times of each. 1, 2, ready, go. C, C, C. G, G, G. D, D, D. And just for fun, see if you can do each one once and say the letter. 1, 2, ready, go. C, G, D, A. All right, very nice. Go ahead and take a break and go to rest position. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stay on the around string. So that's cool, gorillas, dance, around. That is the skinniest string. And we're going to be playing mi, re, do to be able to play hot cross buns. Now I hope you remember that the first thing you do is you check and make sure you can hold without any hands. And you take this hand, we call it the duck, and the duck is going to go down the slide, and your thumb is on one side, your pointer finger is on the other. We're going to take our pointer finger and put it on the first tape, furthest from your nose, and your middle finger goes on the second tape. We could put third and fourth down, but we're not going to use those right now because we know that mi is 2 fingers, re is 1, and do is 0. Notice I'm getting a nice, beautiful ringing sound. If when you go to play yours, you get a sound like this, what's happening is you are not pulling the string all the way against the fingerboard. We call that a dud. So do make sure that every time you're using your fingers that you pull the string completely against the fingerboard. Otherwise you get this instead of this. Okay, so we're going to play mi, re, do for the first phrase, the second phrase, and the fourth phrase. If you're not quite ready to play phrase 3, go ahead and sit down on phrase 3 and I can play it for you. We're going to play it 2 times. So here we go. Our thumb is planted. We're plucking the around string A, and our fingers are also on that skinny string. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, sing. Mi, re, do. Mi, re, do. Do, 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 re, re, mi, re, do. Now, when we go to actually add in phrase 3, if you haven't done so already, do you know how many fingers you're going to use for do? The answer is 0 fingers. You're going to just pluck the A string. And then when we go to play re, we need to go up a step higher. So in order to make it sound higher, we're going to add our first finger. We're going to play re. So that phrase 3 is going to look like this. Do, 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 re, 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 re. Let's see if we can do the entire song on the A string. 1, 2, and ready, go. All right. Now we could actually do that on the D string. We could do it on the G. But what we're going to do next is we're going to do it on the C string, on the cool string, string number 1. Now that requires you actually take your hand all the way over to the first string C, so your fingers are on that string, but you also need to make sure that your plucking pointer finger is reaching all the way to the C string. And again, make sure you're pulling the string all the way against the fingerboard. It should sound like this. All right, so go ahead, make sure you're sitting tall. Make sure you're holding the instrument with your jaw, not with your wrist. So your wrist should actually be dropped and relaxed because your jaw's doing all the work. So all these muscles can be relaxed. We don't need to be flexing anything. All right, here we go. Plant your thumbs. Make sure you have 2 fingers on the tapes. 1, 2, whole song and go. Mi, re, do. Back to 2 fingers. Mi, re, do. Do, 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 re, 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 mi, re, do. All right. So at this time, if you're having trouble with hot cross buns, you should pause the video, stop, and practice on every single string. Today we only went over the A string, the skinniest string, and the C string, the biggest, thickest string. So you should be able to play that on all 4 strings. So go ahead and pause if you need to. If not, let's keep going. The next song we're going to do is Pease Porridge Hot. And I think since we just ended on the C string, that's where we'll start. And we're going to sing it like this. If you know it, sing along with me. It goes, here we sing, pease porridge hot, pease porridge cold, pease porridge in the pot, 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in the pot, 9 days old. So now let's sing it with solfege. Ready, starting with me, here you sing. Mi, 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 mi. Re, 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 re. Do, 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 do. Mi, re, do. Mi, 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 mi. Re, 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 re. Do, 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 do. Mi, re, do. I hope that this phrase sounds very familiar to you. mi, re, do, because we were just playing it in hot cross buns. So that's going to be your job, and I'll take the first 3 phrases. So you'll have your instrument ready to play the whole time I'm playing and singing, and then when I get to phrase 4, I'll stop playing. You jump in on mi, re, do. Make sure you are sitting tall, your wrist is dropped, your thumb is planted, your fingers are on the C string with 2 fingers, and when you go to pluck, use your pointer finger on the very first string C. Here I go, first 3, phrase 4 is yours. Here I play, mi, 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 re, 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 do, 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 mi, re, do. All right, now we're going to move on. You're going to play phrase 1 and phrase 4, and I'll take the 2 inside phrases. Make sure you have 2 fingers for me. Ready, and 2 fingers go. Mi, 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 mi. My turn. Re, 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 re. Do, 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 do. Mi, re, do. This time, add in phrase 2. So you have 1, 2, and 4. Think quickly, how are you going to play re? Mi is 2 fingers. Mi is 2. And then re is going to be down a step, so it must be 1 finger. And I'll take phrase 3. Ready, and 2 fingers, here you go. Mi, 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 mi. First finger. Re, 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 re. My turn. Do, 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 do. Mi, re, do. Entire song. 1, 2, here we go. Mi, 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 mi. First finger. Re, 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 re. 0. Do, 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 do. Mi, re, do. All right. So since we're just using mi, re, do, and we know that with hot cross buns that also has mi, re, do, worked on all 4 strings, that means Pease Porridge Hot is going to work on all 4 strings as well. So you should pause the video now, practice it on the C string, on the G, which is right next to it, on the D string, and on the A string. Just keep in mind, remember, anytime you're going to use a different string, make sure your fingers are on the same string that you're trying to pluck. So double check, make sure the same string is the string that you're using for plucking. All right, I'll see you back here when you're done with playing that on every single string, and we'll start talking about your bow. Good luck. All right, so now it's time to learn the bow. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our viola and very carefully set it down. Because all we need for the next couple of minutes is the bow. And I'm gonna scoot just a little bit closer to the camera. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn, first of all, that this is called the tip and this is called the frog. The very first thing we're gonna do is hold it out in front of us where your frog is pointing towards the right and your tip is pointing towards the left. And then with your left hand, you're going to hold the middle of the bow, and we're going to turn your right hand into a jellyfish. And the jellyfish is going to go blub, 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 and it's going to be completely relaxed. In fact, it should feel like your hand is just completely loosey-goosey, no muscles are being flexed. It's almost like it's just dead. It's just hanging right there. And then your bow is going to go underneath the hand, and you're going to aim to put it directly behind the middle knuckle, not the bottom knuckle or by your fingernails, the middle knuckle, and not by your hand. So right here at the middle, and then here's what happens. All of your weight of your hand is still here. It's still hanging, it's still dead. And you're going to lift up and see how the fingers are still curved and relaxed in front. So let's do that again. We're going to go blub, 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 relax the hand, relax, totally, totally relaxed. Take your bow, go to the middle knuckle, and you're going to lift up those fingers with the bow. Okay, step number 2 is we're going to imagine we have our hand on a doorknob, and we're going to turn the doorknob. Everyone do that with me. Turn the doorknob, just like that. So what it looks like when you have the bow here, remember, loosey-goosey. Right here, lift up. Turn the doorknob. When you turn the doorknob when it has the stick of the bow, it actually makes it so your pinky can sit up on top. Now if you if you turn the doorknob the opposite direction, you're going to fall off and it will be your pointer finger on top. That's not what we want. we want to turn the doorknob this way, and the pinky is able to relax nice and easily on the top of the bow. The last step is the thumb. The thumb we're going to take and we're going to bend it so that the knuckle is pointing down to the ground. And the tip of the thumb right here, that tip, is going to go right on the bottom of the stick of the bow. The stick part, not down on the bottom of the frog, but on the stick right here. So if we're going to put all three of those things together, make sure you're nice and relaxed everywhere, nice and relaxed. Shake out your hand, relax, relax, relax. Take your bow, aim for the middle knuckle, lift up, your fingers should still be relaxed. Turn the doorknob so your pinky's sitting on top, and then your thumb bends, and it goes where the tip of the thumb is right on the stick of that bow. Now when you're bending, it is totally possible that your thumb's going to be touching the hair right there. That's okay. It's the only place that you want to be touching the hair on your bow. That is totally fine. All right, so that is your correct bow hold. There is a picture of it on the paper that I sent home, so if you want to compare, go ahead and do that. Now, I actually am holding it with the wrong hand because I'm backwards from you. I need to be holding it with my right hand, so I'm going to switch back over. The next thing we're going to do is take that beautiful bow hold we just found, and we're going to place it on the viola. All right, so there are 3 lanes of the viola. There is lane 1, which is right next to the bridge. Lane 2, which is right next to the end of the black piece of wood called the fingerboard. And then there's lane 3, which is over top of the fingerboard. I'll demonstrate each one so you can hear the difference, and I think you'll be able to figure out which one is the best. So here is lane 1. Here is lane 2 at the end of the fingerboard. And here is lane 3 over top of the fingerboard. We're going to be spending our time in lane number 2, right at the end of the fingerboard. And the rhythm that I'm playing is Takadimi Tadi. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play Takadimi Tadi 2 times on a string. You'll play it back and try to make your sound the same as mine. If when you go to play you're hearing 2 strings, or 2 sounds I should say, it's because your bow is hitting more than 1 string at a time. So you're going to have to look and adjust the angle of your bow to make sure you're only hitting 1 string at a time. So here we go. I'll play 2 times and you play 2 times back. I'm starting on the A string, the skinny string. Here I go. All right, if you were getting a good sound with that, you're ready to move on to the next string. Now when we move over, when we rock our bow over to the next string, it's going to be very hard to hit only the D string. So if you hear more than one sound, adjust up or down so that you're not hitting the G or the A. So this is what it should sound like. You try to match after me. Here I go. My turn. All right, if you were getting a good sound, you're ready to move on to the next string, which is G. So I'm going to rock my bow, so I'm hitting only the G. I'll play it, you play it back. Again, if you were able to get just that one sound and it sounds great, you're ready to move on. This one's a little easier because there's only 1 string beside it. This is our C string, the very thickest, biggest one. Here I go. C, 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 C. All right, so what we just did was bow exercise number 1, which is at the top of your paper. Now I wrote D, but really you saw we just did it on every single string. So what you should do at this point is pause and keep going back and forth. Start from one string and go to the next. Play it as many times as you need to until you get a beautiful ringing sound where you're hitting only the string that you're aiming for. This might take 10 minutes, it might take 20, it might take a couple days of practicing, but that's okay. When you're ready, you can come back to the video here and we'll move on to bow exercise number 2. So I'll see you when you're back. All right, so bow exercise number 2 is actually when we take the takadimi and the tadi and we put them on different strings. So whatever string we put takadimi on, tadi's going to be on a string that's right next to it. I gave you the example of D string and A string, but we're actually going to start by going from the A string to the D string. It's a little bit easier that way. So we're going to sit tall, make sure that our violas are being held up by our jaw. We're going to check that bow hold. If you need to go back and review, remember the steps: jellyfish, lift up, turn the doorknob, pinky on top, bend the thumb, put it on the stick on the bottom. This is what your bow hold should look like. If it doesn't, you're going to have to stop and go back and review that section of the lesson. All right, moving on. So we're going to take that beautiful relaxed bow hold, set it in lane number 2 on the A string. I'm going to play it first, you play it back. Again, I'm starting on A and going to D. And you should look at your viola and look at your strings while you do this. Here I go. A, D, D, A, D, D, my turn. Now we could also go D to A, like I wrote on the paper. That would sound like this. I'll play it, you play it back. I'm going to do it twice. Here I go. D, 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 A, D, 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 A. All right. Now in the instructions it says practice on all adjacent strings. That means the 2 strings that are beside each other. We just did the combo for A and D to A. But we could also do D to G and G to D. And finally, G to C and C to G. So you have lots of different combinations you can practice this with. Make sure that you are able to do it on every combination before coming back and moving on to bow exercise number 3. Again, it could be quick or it might take you a while. Either is okay. And keep that bow hold the way that I taught you the whole time you're practicing. I'll see you back when you're ready for bow exercise number 3. The moment you've been waiting for. Bow exercise number 3 is when we're actually going to start putting our fingers on the tapes, just like we were doing for mi, re, and do. And we're going to start with the A string, Cool Gorillas Dance Around. And we're going to take the duck, and we're going to slide down the slide. Whee! And we're going to make sure that we're able to put all of our fingers on a tape. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can release. You can do that a couple more times. Release. Release. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put takadimi tadi on open A, and then takadimi tadi with re with your first finger. Oh, this is the wrong side. This is for cello. Let's go back. Another one. There we go. First finger for re, second finger for mi, and then 3 and 4 we haven't talked about yet, but just plop those fingers down and we'll talk about what the solfege is on a later date. So I'll demonstrate it. Just watch. Again, I'm in lane number 2. So each takadimi tadi, I've added a finger each time, just walking up the fingerboard. So let's play it together. 1, 2, A string, go. First finger, second finger, third, fourth. All right, So now that one was relatively easy because it's on the A string and there's only one string next to it. When you go to move to the D string, remember a couple things. Number one, make sure your bow is hitting the D string. Number two, make sure your fingers are actually touching the D string and pulling the strings all the way against the fingerboard. If you're not pulling all the way, that sound would have been like this. If you're getting screechy, screechy sounds, it could be that you're not pulling the string all the way against the fingerboard. So start on the D string this time. That's the string right next to A. Remember, cool gorillas dance around. We're on dance, D string. Same exact exercise. Keep your bow on the D string and add fingers as you go to the D string. 1, 2, ready, go. Add a finger. Add a finger. Add a finger to your pinky. All right, and then of course you can do it on G and so forth, and on C. Make sure your bow's on C and your fingers are on C. Your job is to make sure that your bow is touching only the string that you're aiming for the entire time and that you're getting a beautiful ringing sound. When you're able to do that on all 4 strings, you're ready for bow exercise number 4. So I'll see you when you're back. All right, bow exercise number 4 starts where bow exercise number 3 left off. So we're going to be starting with our pinkies, 4th finger. Then you'll release the pinky and leave the other 3. Then release, and you'll have just 1 and 2. Release, down to 1st finger, release, 0. So I'm going to demonstrate that first on the A string. The skinny string in lane 2. My wrist is dropped. My bow hold is nice and relaxed with the pinky on top. Just watch. Here I go. Notice I only got rid of 1 finger at a time. Pinky, then I got rid of it, then I got rid of the ring, the middle, the pointer, and I was left with just open A string. All right, now it's your turn to join me. 4th finger, make sure you're right on the tapes. You're in lane 2, your bow hand is nice and relaxed, your thumb is bent down to the ground, and your wrist is not touching. 1, 2, ready, and. There you go. Of course it will work on every string. Just make sure whichever string you're on, your fingers are on the same string that your bow is on. All right, good luck. I'll see you back here when you're ready for bow exercise number 5 after you've practiced every single string. See you soon. All right, the final bow exercise and the trickiest of all of them. You're going to change after each beat. Rather than giving you a whole measure, you're going to go takadimi on 0, but the tadi, you're already adding a finger, so this is much faster. Let's just watch. Here I go, starting with a takadimi on A string. We're just listening and watching. Here I go. And there is a repeat sign, so we can go back and do it again. If you want it to sound like it's over, you end with just 1 A string. Just like that. All right, let's play it together. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Just so you know what it would sound like if I were to do it on a different string, here's G, or the C. If you would like to do C with me, let's do that. Rock all the way over. Make sure your fingers are ready to plop down on that C string. 1, 2, ready, and. with your bow, if you're getting all kinds of crazy sounds and you know for sure that you're pulling the strings against the tapes and they're in the right place, it could be one other thing. Pay attention to the angle of your bow. If it is crooked, so we want it to be parallel to the end of the black fingerboard, or if it's easier to imagine that you're parallel to the bridge, whatever works. But what you want to make sure is that it's not crooked either way. Watch what happens. If it's a little bit crooked, it actually naturally starts sliding all over the string. And that's really common when you first start. So you might want to have somebody watch you and help you figure out which way the tip should be moved so that you are parallel to either the end of the fingerboard or the bridge. Another helpful hint would be maybe someone could record you and you could watch so you could see what you're doing. But it's nearly impossible to stay in one lane, you know, lane 2 versus lane 1 or lane 3, if you have it tilted sideways. You'll get that awful fading in and sound. You just can't get a really good sound if that's happening. So parallel to the end of the fingerboard and the bridge. You're going to want to practice that on every single string until you're getting a beautiful ringing sound where you hit only one string at a time, and hopefully it is the string that you're aiming for. At this time, you're going to need to remember, if you're done practicing, lefty-loosey this time. Lefty-loosey. That allows the frog to move back towards the tip, and it allows the hair to get loose again. We don't want the hair to stay tight in the case at all times because it will stretch it out eventually and you'll need to get it rehaired. So we always do lefty-loosey until the hair can wiggle, and then you put it back into your case. Additionally, don't forget to take your shoulder pad off, because if you try to shove this in the case and leave the shoulder pad on and shut that lid, you could break your bridge. And I'm sure you just got a lot of practice time in, so don't forget to write it on your practice log on whatever day it is. And at the end, add up your total minutes, get a parent signature, and bring it into your next lesson. Oh, I forgot the best part, the grand finale. I can't believe I put everything away. The grand finale is you can actually, when you've completed all 5 bow exercises, the best part is when you get to go back and play hot cross buns. So I'm going to retighten my bow. We're going to pretend I put my shoulder pad on. And we're going to go on the A string, and I'll show you what this will look like. So if you're going to do mi, re, do on the A string, make sure your fingers are on the tapes, and you'll be ready for this. Check it out. Do the same exact thing that you were doing with plucking, but with the bow. And it will work on every single string. And of course, if you can play hot cross buns with your bow, then certainly you can do Pease Porridge hot, and that will sound like this. I'll do it on the C string. So you can choose whatever string you want to do it on. That's the best part. So I look forward to seeing you at your next lesson, and I can't wait to hear your Pease Porridge hot and hot cross buns with the bow. All right, I'll see you at your next lesson. Adios.